Hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Preschool and Kids Weekly Training Podcast. My name is Isaac, and I am so excited that all of you are joining us here this week as we dive in to week 3 of I Am Never Alone. And joining me are some of our favorite Hyfi team members. We have Kayla and we have Crystal, and we are so excited that they are here with us as we discuss this story from Luke 2 that Jesus was born. But before we do that, we've talked a little bit on the podcast. I know Crystal and I, we love our music. I know Kayla, you love music, and music is such a fun part of the Christmas season. So my question for you all is, what is your favorite Christmas song? And not just what is it, but why is it your favorite Christmas song?
You know, this might be one of the hardest questions in the world because I am that person that as soon as even before Thanksgiving, I have got the Christmas music on nonstop, listening all the time.
That is what I love to hear.
I love it. I love it almost all of it. But probably my favorite song would have to be Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. And the reason is, I know some people, by the way, hate that song. They think it is just so cheesy. And if you don't know it, it's very synthy and 80s. But I have so many memories of driving with my kids in the car. I had a car at the time that had really, really horrible brakes. This is going to sound terrible, I know. But that song was on one Christmas, and I would slam on the brakes with the song to the beat of the song. And my kids would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And so every time we hear that song, we all kind of do this movement, the brakes are going in the car. But it's just such a sweet memory. And I think that we would say, this is our Christmas song, me and my 3 boys. And I just think it's really fun. So Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I love it.
That's amazing. I love that. So I do have to clarify. I feel like I like music, but you and Isaac love music. Y'all are at another level. I am not there at all.
Crystal sends me playlists. That's where we're at.
Exactly. So I would say for me, I'm a little bit more just traditional. And so there were 2 songs that came to mind. One song is I love the first Noel. I just love singing that song. And just for the rich theology that's in it and the ways that we get to sing about Jesus. But my kind of worshipful Jesus Christmas song that I love is This'll Hair the Christmas Bear. And I don't know if anyone else knows this song or not.
I never. What?
I don't know what this is.
Okay, so when I was growing up, you probably have this too. I feel like we all have the album that we grew up listening to as kids of okay, now it's Christmas. This is our Christmas album. And for me, it was Alabama Christmas. And there's a random song on there that's just one of my favorites. That's This'll Hair the Christmas Bear. And it's all about this Christmas bear. And it's just reminds me of okay, now it's Christmas. You sing some This'll Hair the Christmas Bear. It's Christmas time. We're ready.
I'm going to have to go look this up.
This is some post-podcast
Can
fun.
I say, I am really proud of myself that I know of a song that neither of you know of. I don't know if that's just because I'm really old or I'm out of touch, but I'm gonna claim it as something I can be proud of.
Claim it. I love it.
Absolutely. Well,
that is great.
What about you?
So I am probably Christmas, I love Christmas classic songs. So Joy to the World is hands down my favorite Christmas song. There's a version from the Epcot Candlelight Choir that I turn that on every year. That's my go-to album. That means it's Christmas is when I turn that album on in June.
For context, everyone, Isaac grew up in Florida and had all of the Florida experiences with Epcot.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so like that
Every
was like the
Christmas.
kickoff of the season was going and like being at the candlelight processional. So like that whole album, but Joy to the World is the opening song of that. And it's big, it's beautiful, but it's also just, I love joy. So that's also probably my favorite part.
It's a good one. I'll be honest, especially those like Jesus-centered traditional Christmas songs. I'm like, why do we not sing these more often in church? You know, like this should not be a December only thing. Like we could be singing Joy to the World in June. It's still true.
I do.
Okay.
I'm right there. I'm singing Joy to the World in June.
Let's start a petition for all the churches. Say Christmas songs
do it
year round.
Let's do it. Well, as you are all listening to your favorite Christmas songs, be sure to let us know what your favorite Christmas song is. Maybe you've part of the Facebook community. Let us know what your favorite Christmas song is as we post this podcast that week. We are excited to hear from you, but I'm also excited to talk about what the kids and preschoolers will be learning this week 3. So as we talk about this main idea that God gives me peace, we are going to look at the story in Luke 2. It is the Christmas story. So we're going to see Mary and Joseph. We're going to see Jesus being born. We're going to be able to take some time and share with these kids that God sent his one and only son down to earth. Not just because he thought it was a good idea at the moment, but because he has a plan for each and every one of us to follow him, to make our identity reflect who he is in an amazing way. So as we talk about this story, the idea of peace is something that we want to share very clearly with these kids and preschoolers. So Kayla, I want to ask you, like, what is this? There are a lot of different ideas of peace in our world. So what would you say is how are we defining peace here with Hyfi?
Yeah, I think with all of what we do with our sessions in Hyfi, we always want to think through, what do we mean when we say this word? Like, how do we define it? And are the voices around us defining this word in the same way as we are? And so we really thought that this third week, as we lean into the Christmas story, which, by the way, we know Christmas is next week. We are fully aware of that's what next week is going to be Christmas, but we're celebrating the birth of Jesus this week. And we wanted to do that a week early because we know so many churches celebrate Christmas, do kids ministry different at Christmas and on Christmas Eve, especially. And so we wanted to be sure that we are celebrating and teaching the story of Jesus being born to preschoolers and kids within the month of December. So you'll notice in your calendaring that that's a little bit different. And we put it on week 3 instead of week 4. But we also wanted to do that because as we lean into how we are never alone, how God is always with us for preschool, that we're talking about this idea of peace. And peace is that feeling of safety and security. We see it in the fruits of the Spirit. This is one of the elements of the fruit of the Spirit, that we have peace. And oftentimes when we think about peace, this is a concept that's pretty familiar for preschoolers and kids. But how we define it might not be. And so I think this is really cool to talk about peace with the Christmas story, because as followers of Jesus, we talk about forever peace, right? We talk about lasting peace. And oftentimes when we look at our culture around us, then that peace oftentimes is temporal, right? It is, I have to do this thing, and if I do this, then I'll get peace. Or if I, take these action steps, then peace will come. But we really want to lean in and help kids and preschoolers understand that ultimate peace, true forever peace, that comes from God. And God sent Jesus for that reason. He sent Jesus to earth for us to bring us peace. And that's a really cool concept we get to teach this week.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is so exciting. I love that we really just get to lean in on that and say it is only through Jesus that we can have that eternal peace. So many people in our culture, so many things that are around us are telling us to find our inner peace, to figure it out ourselves, but we get to know that, hey, this peace comes only from God. So Crystal, I want to ask you, how can we help kids distinguish between the peace of God through Jesus and the temporary promises of peace that come right now in culture that they say, hey, you have to do this or you have to do that? How can we distinguish that for kids?
Yeah, if you listened to the podcast last week, I got a little excited about this because one of the big things that I know we really want during this Christmas season, and especially as we're telling the Christmas story, is that we don't just want to teach like Jesus came to save you from your sins. Like that is 100% true. And we also don't want to just leave it at like when you believe in Jesus, then you get to spend forever with him in heaven. That is also true. But we really, really want to take this opportunity to say, like, God sent Jesus to change every single part of your life, like today, tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year. And our kids are growing up in a culture that every single week there's something new to try. There's something new to do to find this idea of peace. Oh, well, here's the latest person who's saying, this is what you need to do. And then here's somebody else who's saying, no, do this instead. And it's always this feeling of like, I need to follow this person. I need to try these tricks. I need to do all this kinds of stuff. And we just want to sit there and tell kids, God sent Jesus, so you are never alone. Every single moment of every single day, he is with you. And because he loves you, because he is always present, you can know that you are safe and secure. You can know peace no matter what's happening around you, no matter what is changing. You have peace, not because of you trying X, Y, and Z, but you have peace because of who Jesus is and because he is with you. And that is such a great gift that we have to bring to these kids and to the families in our ministries, is to know that this peace is all about who God is. It's not because of anything that we have to follow these different steps and do these rules and eat these foods and drink this drink and listen to this podcast and read this book. Like this peace is all because of who God is. And what a great time to celebrate that here at Christmas.
Crystal, that's such a great reminder. And I feel like I felt even a little convicted as you were saying that, because there's so many times I know in my life where like I want to chase that newest, coolest, brightest thing. But when we connect that piece of who God says we are, of what God has done for us, it really does change our identity in an amazing way. And we're saying, hey, God, I want to follow you. I want to follow your plan. I want to follow your purpose for me. And I want my identity to be not what Isaac says it should be, but instead of who you have made me to be. And I think especially right now in this Christmas season, we can get caught up in all of the craziness and all of the energy and all of the joy, honestly. But I think that can definitely take away from knowing that, hey, we can find peace in this moment, knowing that God has a plan. God has a plan for these kids in the room, and even us as leaders, God has a plan for our ministry, and we can have peace resting and knowing that he is in control. Mm-hmm. So Kayla, as we're talking about that connection between peace and identity, how would you make that connection for kids and preschoolers?
Yeah, I think, as we're talking about Luke 2 and this story, it's kind of captivating me in, I don't know if it's a new way, but a fresh way right now as I read through Luke 2, and which I would encourage, like, not right now because you're probably doing laundry or driving. So when you are not doing those things, go and read Luke 2 as you prepare for this week. But it says, like, after the angel has come to the shepherds and he says, don't be afraid. This is the good news I proclaim to you. And then there's this multitude of heavenly hosts with the angel praising God. And the multitude says, declaring to these shepherds, glory to God in the highest heaven and peace on earth to people he favors. And I just love how in the Christmas story, that is what is proclaimed by these angels in this moment of declaring that Jesus has come and Jesus is here. And he says, peace on earth to the people that he favors. And so as we talk about the connection between peace and identity, I think that it's really clear in this passage of how like Jesus came to be our peace. He came to bring us peace. God sent Jesus for us so that he could grow up, live this sinless life, die on the cross, defeat death, rise again, to be that payment for our sin, to give us this lasting, fulfilling, ultimate, forever peace. And so I think as we talk about identity and who we are, and connect that to the peace of God, with this story in particular, like it's really easy just to point to like, this is what the angels declared, that there is peace on earth to the people that God favors, that God sent Jesus to bring us peace, and what that means for who we are. Because if we need peace, then there is a reason that we don't have it, right? And so what is the reason that we don't have peace, and who it is that who we are and who Jesus is and how he came to bring it? And I think that that leads us into gospel conversations.
I know I'm excited, not only just because it's Christmas, but to share the story with kids and preschoolers this week at my own church. And as we get ready for this Christmas season, we just want to invite you just to take some time to have those moments of prayer where you get to say, God, remind me of the peace that you have given me through Jesus. We get to celebrate that God sent his one and only son to earth because he loves us and we are never alone. And we get to share that truth with kids and preschoolers. So I hope that you all have a wonderful week of Hyfi. If you are not part of that Facebook community, we would love for you to join. We are constantly having people share pictures of the fun things that they're doing. We are loving seeing all these Christmas decorations for Light the Night and all of these fun themes. So we can't wait for you to join us there. And until next time, Merry Christmas.